FRIEZA vs Megatron came out, and I want to talk about it like I usually do. But this time... Okay, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to talk about this one. I've already gone on record to say that I don't like this matchup, and I probably never will. But, because of the way my channel works on this platform, I feel obligated to talk about it, despite me wanting to do otherwise. Now, I know some of you will say, you shouldn't feel obligated to do something when you don't want to do it, but if I don't, then I feel like YouTube punishes me for it. As it is, my views are already inconsistent, so I feel like if I don't talk about this, then I miss out on a chance to grow as a creator. Remember, just because I have over 1,000 subs doesn't mean I can slack off and make a video whenever. It's part of the reason I get these reviews out as soon as I can. Anyway, enough of all that sappy stuff out of the way, let's just get into the review. For starters, the analysis is okay. I'm not really a big fan of either analysis. FRIEZA's is fine. I feel like I don't like his as much as I normally do because it's another Dragon Ball character and they always talk about the same feats, like with the fucking Shockwave feat. But outside of that, his was fine. There wasn't anything inherently wrong with it. Megatron's I'll get to in a second. But they aren't really that bad, per se. Let's start off positive. I really like the editing in both analyses, especially Megatron's. I love the way they cover both of their stories, showing off FRIEZA as this maniacal and ruthless figure, talking about how truly evil he is while playing this threatening orchestral music in the back. It's good stuff. And I love how they talk about Megatron, how Megatron started out as someone with good intentions, even writing a freaking manifesto for peace. That's a bit of an oxymoron, but whatever. To someone who started and prolonged a war for no real good reason, eventually realizing how it was meaningless and went back to being a good guy, even sacrificing himself for the greater good. There are some other things as well. They show my boy Tarn, he's always nice to see. Still looking for his figure, by the way, such a fucking pain in the ass. They show Brian Griffin as a real estate agent. That's just funny, given that FRIEZA is basically a cosmic realtor, and it's Family Guy. Family Guy Brian. Brian is hilarious. But, as good as all that stuff is, there are still some problems I have with the analysis. For starters, they did jack shit to try and convince us that Megatron even stood remotely of a chance. In his entire analysis, he gets one. I repeat, one calc for durability, and it's only planet level. And it was in the preview. FRIEZA, on the other hand, gets his planet-destroying feat calced, the Goku Ki feat calced, the goddamn Shockwave feat. All of this, putting FRIEZA at roughly over 200,000 times universal, scaling to Ultra Ego Vegeta, and over 27 quadrillion times faster than light. Great! How does Megatron stack up? Well, he can survive a planet-busting feat that is superior to base form FRIEZA's feat. He can fly at hundreds of thousands of times faster than light. He can be the guy who's universal. He can... Do you see a problem here? None of Megatron's feats are elaborated on. Instead, they just get a passing mention, like the Decepticon and Regenesis Shockwave feat. Now, okay, the Decepticon I understand, but fucking Regenesis Shockwave? The fact that they failed to elaborate on the feat instead of opting to give it a passing mention like, oh yeah, he can do that, is really disappointing. Especially since you could get it a lot higher than what they put it at, but there are already a million videos that talk about Regen Shockwave and how cracked he is, so... My point being, this is Megatron's big feat. The big one. The big kahuna of them all. And it's just mentioned with little to no impact. Anyway, outside of the Versus stuff, there are a few minor things I don't really like at all. The cutaways are forgettable as hell, and Boomstick laughing at Megatron's first alt mode is kinda disrespectful. Like, I'd understand if he does it for one line, but if he keeps going on after he tells us what type of gun he can turn into, it's just... it's a little disrespectful in my opinion. Also, again, the more that meets the eye line, that was entirely unnecessary. You don't need to shoehorn it in anywhere. The fight, on the other hand, now I'm a really big fan of this. For starters, I really like this setup. FRIEZA showing off his cocky side, not even bothering to remember Cybertron's name. That's great. That is so in character for him, and I like that. As is Megatron showing off how prideful he is, telling FRIEZA to get stuffed. I also really like that. I also like FRIEZA not even getting mad at Megatron's pride and instead just going straight for the kill. Good stuff all around. You know what else is good? The rest of the animation. Despite having a pretty big size difference, I can honestly say that it doesn't detriment the animation at all. In fact, I think it works really well with their analysis and conclusion. FRIEZA even calls this out, asking, "Is that clunky robot body too slow to keep up?" Yes, I know my FRIEZA impression is really good. Thank you for noticing. That is also another great character moment for him, as it shows how overconfident and sure of himself he is. And how this is also a detriment as he smacks face first into the panic bubble, allowing Megatron to get his first really impactful hit in. Really, this whole episode is full of great characterization for both FRIEZA and Megatron. I love it when FRIEZA gets smacked down to the planet and instead of getting mad, he's just mildly annoyed. Even doing some neck stretches showing that he isn't too worried about taking down Megatron. And then again, when he blocks Megatron's tank blast, we see how, while still confident based on his stance and use of one hand to block the beam, Megatron is slowly starting to get to him, judging by his facial expression. And during the Golden FRIEZA transformation, where he chuckles to himself before he tosses the giant death ball, I love that so much, showing how evil he is and how he genuinely gets a kick out of blowing up planets. And then when Megatron finally gets to him, that is such a brilliant scene showing FRIEZA's greatest weakness, in most cases, is himself and his cockiness as he is consumed by the antimatter. Megatron also gets some great character moments. Of course, we get the setup where he shows off how prideful he is by saying that he'd rather him and his planet die than watch FRIEZA rule over it. I love Megatron showing concern for Cybertron after FRIEZA uses his Death Wave attack. Meg's laughing to himself as he pelts FRIEZA with energy blasts is cool. Megatron laughing while trying to stop the Death Ball from crashing down on Cybertron is not only showing concern for the planet, but also showing a bit of his gladiator side as he seems to be enjoying himself. And then when FRIEZA starts giving his estimation of time, Megatron once again shows his concern of the planet over his concern for himself. And his taunting of FRIEZA, which really is just stalling for time as he gets ready to use the antimatter on him, is so cool as it shows how intelligent and experienced Megatron is. The sound design is also fantastic. Every hit feels impactful. Every energy blast feels and sounds like it has power behind it. Whenever Megatron's fusion cannon builds up energy, it feels like it. I love the sound of the tank beam, and I love the sound of Cybertron's surface exploding. I love the sound of both death balls being used, but by far my favorite sound effect is FRIEZA going golden. It sounds less like a typical DBZ transformation and more like FRIEZA is being armored up, and I love it so much. And while I'm riding this animation hype train, the visual effects looks so damn beautiful. Everything from FRIEZA's ki blast to his ki aura to the death balls to the godlike golden FRIEZA transformation. And FRIEZA isn't the only one to get nice effects. Megatron's fusion cannon blasts look really nice, especially the tank beam. It looks so damn beautiful, the lighting is incredible. But the real king of these effects here is by far the antimatter. I don't know how Devil Artemis did it, but he managed to capture the look of it perfectly in the animation. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Devil Artemis was the only animator for this episode. And he did it all by himself, including the special effects. And they were all done in Blender. If that isn't talent, I don't know what is. And the actual fighting as well is really cool. It's super fast-paced and honestly very creative in some places, like when Megatron uses his fusion cannon to shoot the ball of his mace towards FRIEZA, or when Megatron hides from FRIEZA using his tank mode, or FRIEZA using Cybertron to smack itself into his death ball, or when Megatron uses the gun in his tank mode to propel him forward to FRIEZA's death ball. That is a phenomenal use of a Transformers alt mode. Oh yeah, and it's also one giant Henry Stickmin reference. Just something I noticed. Speaking of references, Frieza does the same face he does when he got blasted by Goku's beam. So, that's also pretty cool. And the death, good lord, the death. After Megatron taunts Frieza and blasts him with antimatter, we get a really good fake out as Frieza uses his energy pizzas to cut Megatron in half and eventually kill him along with Cybertron. And as the planet is exploding, we see Frieza in the middle of the explosion telling himself that he must kill all the Cybertronians. Wow! To be fair, that is the type of over-the-top reaction I would expect from Frieza, so there's another great character moment for him. But yeah, despite this episode being pretty standard stuff, I like it a lot. And we get an ice-cold line delivery from Frieza, so it's a win-win. Speaking of line deliveries, I adore this episode's voice acting. Martin Bellani, aka Little Karibo, does a fantastic job as Frieza once again. But in my opinion, he is overshadowed by Tom Schalk's Megatron. He sounds just like G1 Megatron, and I love it so damn much. You know what else I love? The soundtrack. Final Formers is just fantastic, and I'm still debating if I like this or Inhuman more, which is no small feat considering Inhuman is currently my favorite track of Season 10. So, yeah, it's pretty good. But, as much as I like this animation, I do have my fair share of problems with it. For starters, while I was praising the visual effects earlier, I don't like the smoke effects. They look like giant bubbles instead of actual smoke, and I don't like it. Another thing I don't like, Frieza getting hit by the antimatter. Now, I have my reasons. Starting off, they say that the antimatter would have to engulf Frieza's whole body before he could react, or else it wouldn't have 100% killed him. Here's the thing. That's exactly what fucking happened in the animation, and yet he was still fine. Yep, that's right, it's another Stitch vs. Rocket scenario. Look, Frieza is fast as fuck. Faster than Megatron based on their research in this episode. But if you really think Frieza can dodge this after he was already engulfed, then that's just plain wrong. And that's all my complaints with the animation. Like I said, I'm a really big fan of this animation. It is really good. The post-analysis, on the other hand, is fine. I mean, going off by their research, technically everything they said was right. Although one of the black boxes states that additional G1 material denote much faster scanning feats, but then they say that they aren't supported by primary sources, which is just looking for trouble. The black boxes also bring up the Regenesis Shockwave feat, merging infinite timelines into one. Okay, but again, it's just a passing mention. They should have elaborated on the feat in the actual episode instead of just leaving it to the black boxes. It's the same problem I had with Ben 10 versus Green Lantern. Ugh. Overall, that was Frieza vs. Megatron. It's not a bad episode. The animation is fantastic, and truthfully, I didn't dislike Frieza's analysis. It's probably just because of a Dragon Ball fatigue, which is why it didn't stick with me. But I did dislike Megatron's analysis, and I'm totally indifferent on the post-analysis. Hell, I had more to say on the black boxes than I did the actual post-analysis, anyway. Anyway, with that in mind, this episode's like an 8 out of 10 for me. It's not bad, not by a long shot, but there are so many issues that hold it back from a 9 to even a 10 out of 10. Because the animation is a 10 alone. It's one of the best animations this season. But the rest of it brings it down a lot. As for the next time, this is one hell of a Halloween special, isn't it? Gojo vs. Makima. Very scary. Alright, in all seriousness, I don't really care about this one. I can't really give two shits about either Jujutsu Kaisen or Chainsaw Man. This is probably going to be the Pentagram, because they both fight demons or whatever. I have seen people say the suits, hell, even I have said the suit, but Gojo doesn't really wear a suit. So, yeah, I just don't really care about this one. So, yeah. Anyway, what did you all think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit that like button as well as that subscribe button and ring the bell if you want to see any more of my videos. Go follow me on my socials in the description, and go check out our reaction to the episode down below, also in the description. Also, I made a review for Optimus Prime vs. Gundam. You can go check that out if you want to. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to continue to look for that Legacy Evolution Voyager Class Tarn, because I will have it by the end of this year, I swear. I'll see you later, Cap Nation. Bye-bye.